Pittsburgh Steelers might be cooking up something big, and no, this isn't just another off-season rumor that will fade into the background in a few weeks. This one has some weight behind it. With George Pickens officially gone, the front office may be turning their attention to one of the smoothest, most dynamic young wideouts in the league, Chris Olave. Now, before we dive headfirst into what this could mean, let's take a step back and look at how we got here. It all started when Olave's name suddenly popped up on Pittsburgh's radar. It wasn't just fan speculation or some vague rumor floating around Reddit. No, this came from actual conversations happening behind the scenes. According to multiple reports, the Steelers reached out to the Saints to check on Olave's availability. Was it just due diligence? Or is this the beginning of something real? That's the million-dollar question. For the Saints, this is a tough call. Chris Olave isn't just another piece on the roster. He's arguably their best offensive weapon right now, especially in a receiver room that lacks real depth. He's young, talented, and already has 2 1,000-yard seasons under his belt despite playing with a carousel of quarterbacks ranging from Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston to Derek Carr and Spencer Rattler. That's not exactly an all-star lineup, and yet Olave has consistently produced. That says a lot. But there's a new era brewing in New Orleans, with Derek Carr stepping away from football and a fresh face in rookie quarterback Spencer Shuck, who the Saints just drafted in the second round. The organization is standing at a crossroads. Do they hold on to their top offensive weapon and try to give Shuck the best chance to develop and compete in a very winnable NFC South? Or do they flip the page and go full rebuild, acquiring draft capital and building for a few years down the road? That's the internal battle happening in that front office. If the Saints decide to go all in on developing Shuck in real time, then keeping Olave makes perfect sense. Give your young quarterback a proven target, someone who can get open against any coverage and let the offense grow together. But if they decide the rebuild is more important, if they believe 2025 is more about collecting assets than chasing wins, then Olave could become a real trade candidate. Now, let's look at it from Pittsburgh's side. This would be a statement. Move, no doubt. Swapping out George Pickens for Chris Olave isn't just a lateral shuffle. It's a philosophical shift. Pickens brought the big play potential, the circus catches, and yeah, some off-field volatility. Olave, he's the technician. A silky smooth route runner with breakaway speed and the kind of versatility that makes offensive coordinators drool. He can line up outside, in the slot, or wherever you need him. No drama, no noise, just production. There is, of course, one red flag: the concussions. 4 of them already in his short NFL career, with the most recent one knocking him out for the entire second half of last season. That's not nothing. Head injuries are no joke, and teams are being more careful than ever before. But when you stack the risk next to the reward, it still feels like a bet worth making. This isn't a locker room headache or a guy who disappears in big moments. This is a legitimate weapon who just needs a little bit of luck staying healthy. And here's the kicker. Financially, this is the perfect time to pounce. Olave is still playing on his rookie deal, and the Saints have already exercised his 5th-year option, which means you're looking at around $15 million per year for the next 2 seasons. In today's wide receiver market, that's a bargain. You're essentially getting a borderline Pro Bowl caliber receiver on a discount without having to make a long-term commitment right away. If he comes in, meshes with the locker room, and balls out in 2025, then you have the option to extend him. And at that point, it's a good problem to have. Now, let's talk compensation. What would it take for the Steelers to actually land Chris Olave? That's the tricky part. Pittsburgh just got a 3rd-round pick for George Pickens, and believe it or not, that might have been a better return than many expected. Word around the league is that most teams didn't value Pickens that highly. Some laughed at the idea of giving up anything more than a 6th or 7th rounder. So to get a 3rd was, in a lot of ways, a win for the Steelers. But Olave is a different case. He's been more productive, more consistent, and carries fewer off-field question marks. Plus, he was a 1st-round pick, which means the Saints still have that 5th-year control. All of that boosts his trade value. If Pickens fetched a 3rd, it's not crazy to think the Saints would want at least a 2nd-rounder for Olave. That might be what it takes to get them to even consider picking up the phone again. And from Pittsburgh's side, if they end up sending out a 2nd-round pick to bring in Olave, that's a move I'd co-sign in a heartbeat. You're giving your quarterback, whether it ends up being Aaron Rodgers or someone else, a legit #1 receiver. You're making life easier for the entire offense. It's aggressive, sure, but it's the kind of move that good teams make when they're serious about competing now. Speaking of Rodgers, let's shift gears for a second, because there's been an interesting development on that front as well. We've all been waiting, wondering what exactly is going on with him. He's been a ghost for most of the offseason. And when he did pop up on the Pat McAfee show, he mentioned some personal issues that were preventing him from signing with a team. That naturally raised a few eyebrows. But now we're starting to get a clearer picture. Ian O'Connor, who literally wrote the book on Aaron Rodgers, and I mean that literally he wrote his biography, went on the radio recently and dropped some nuggets that made a lot of sense. He said that Rodgers has essentially given verbal assurance to the Steelers that he intends to play for them. He just didn't want to sign on the dotted line and then miss part of mandatory minicamp because of personal matters he's still dealing with. According to O'Connor, Rodgers believes those issues will be wrapped up by the end of May, and once that happens, he'll be ready to commit fully. That timeline is crucial. It lines up with everything we've been hearing over the past few months. The whispers, the anonymous reports, the insiders hinting that this deal is basically done. And let's be honest, the Steelers haven't exactly been acting like a team scrambling for a quarterback. If they really thought Rodgers wasn't coming, they wouldn't have waited until the later rounds of the draft to pick up a developmental guy like Will Howard. That move only makes sense if you already know your starter is locked in. Rodgers to the Steelers feels inevitable. At this point, too many signs are pointing in that direction. The team has been linked to him from the very beginning of free agency. Trusted voices around the league are saying it's basically a done deal. Even the Vegas odds are shifting. It's happening. It's just a matter of when. And here's why it makes so much sense for both sides. Rodgers wants one more shot. He doesn't want his career to end on the sideline after 4 snaps in New York. He's too proud, too competitive to go out like that. He knows this is his last real opportunity to chase a Super Bowl. And Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh gives him a path, a defense that can carry games, a coach who's never had a losing season, a front office that's not afraid to make bold moves. Add a weapon like Chris Olave to that mix, and suddenly you're looking at a roster that can do some real damage in the AFC. There's still a lot to be sorted out, of course. The Olave trade hasn't happened yet. Rodgers hasn't put pen to paper. But the wheels are turning, the pieces are moving, and if both of these dominoes fall the way they seem to be leaning, then the Steelers could go from fringe playoff team to legitimate contender overnight. Let me know what you guys think. Would you trade a second rounder for Chris Olave? Do you think Rodgers is the missing piece, or is this all just off-season hype? Either way, buckle up. This is about to get real interesting in Pittsburgh. Now, let's imagine this scenario plays out exactly the way it's been hinted. Rodgers finally makes it official, signs with the Steelers, and Chris Olave gets moved from New Orleans to Pittsburgh. What kind of offense are we talking about here? You'd have a veteran quarterback with Hall of Fame experience, laser-sharp accuracy, and one of the best football IQs ever seen, pairing up with a young, explosive receiver who can take the top off any defense or break a corner's ankles with a clean cut. That's a dangerous combination. Throw in a developing run game, a couple of reliable tight ends, and a stable offensive line, and you've got the foundation of a playoff-ready unit. Not something flashy and unproven, something balanced and effective, and that's exactly what Mike Tomlin would want. He doesn't care about hype videos or Twitter chatter. He wants guys who can execute, stay healthy, and contribute to winning football. Chris Olave fits that mold perfectly. No off-field distractions, no diva behavior, no unnecessary noise. Just a smart, reliable route technician who shows up and does his job every week. That's the kind of player you build around when you're looking to maximize what's left in a quarterback like Rodgers. Now, on the Saints side, it's not like they want to get rid of Olave. He's arguably the only star left on that offense. But the situation is complicated. They're not in win-now mode. Not with a rookie quarterback and a questionable coaching setup. They're in a transition phase, trying to figure out who they are and what their identity should be. That's why teams around the league are poking around. Because when a franchise doesn't have a clear direction, assets become available. And in the modern NFL, everyone's always listening. No one is truly untouchable. The Steelers are no strangers to big trades They've done it before when they saw the right fit. And they're not afraid to give up draft capital if it means solidifying the roster. The question isn't whether they're willing, it's whether they believe Olave is the missing link. And if you look at what's available right now, there really aren't many better options. The free agent pool is thin. Most of the top trade candidates come with massive price tags or serious character concerns. Olave checks boxes that very few others do. Age, production, scheme versatility, and contract value. Some fans are going to look at the concussion history and raise concerns, and that's valid. But here's the reality. Every player comes with risk. The question is whether the upside outweighs the red flags. And in this case, it does. You're not asking Olave to be the savior of your franchise. You're asking him to be a key piece in a larger puzzle, one that includes Rodgers, Tomlin, and a defense that's ready to dominate. That's a role he can thrive in. If you've been following this team long enough, you know this isn't just noise. There's something brewing, and it feels like it's only a matter of time before it turns into action. The Steelers don't leak info unless there's something behind it. The Rodgers timeline is clearer than it's ever been. The Olave talks are real even if they're early, and the AFC landscape is changing. Pittsburgh doesn't want to be left behind. There's going to be a lot of speculation over the next few weeks. Every tweet, every insider nugget is going to be dissected. But the important thing is this. The Steelers are in position to make a major move. They have the cap space, the draft flexibility, and the need. That combination doesn't come around often. If they believe Rodgers is locked in and ready to go, then the smart play is to give him a top-tier weapon. Because in the NFL, windows don't stay open forever. So yeah, maybe this is the start of something real. Maybe this is more than just another name being floated in a rumor mill. And maybe, just maybe, by the time training camp rolls around, the Steelers will have completely reshaped their offense into something we haven't seen in years. Something dangerous, something legit. We'll have to wait and see. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that sent shockwaves through the NFL world and lit up the skyline of Pittsburgh, superstar quarterback Josh Allen has officially arrived in the Steel City to sign what insiders are calling a historic contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Fans line the streets near the airport and team facility, phones out, voices raised, eager to catch a glimpse of the player who is expected to redefine the future of the franchise. Allen's arrival marks the end of months of speculation and intense negotiations. The former Buffalo Bills quarterback, known for his cannon arm, explosive mobility, and relentless competitiveness, brings not just his elite talent, but a renewed sense of hope to a city hungry for another Super Bowl run. Sources close to the team have described the agreement as one of the most lucrative deals in franchise history, a sign of Pittsburgh's commitment to returning to championship contention. This bold acquisition signals a dramatic shift in strategy for the Steelers, who have struggled to find consistency at quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger's retirement. While names like Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky briefly held the reins, none have matched the star power and leadership Allen brings to the locker room. The Steelers front office appears determined to build a team around him, providing the tools and stability necessary to finally bridge the gap between potential and results. Allen leaves behind a legacy in Buffalo marked by playoff appearances, unforgettable moments, and a deep bond with the fan base. However, the move to Pittsburgh offers him a new stage, a new challenge, and a chance to write the next chapter of his career in black and gold. The AFC North, already fiercely competitive, just got even more intense. As Allen prepares for his official unveiling at Acrisure Stadium, one thing is certain: Pittsburgh is no longer in rebuild mode. It's in win now mode. And with Josh Allen under center, the Steelers' ambitions just got a whole lot bigger. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.